Today, we're beginning a series. We will be discussing manipulation tactics that toxic people use to target, control, isolate, and make you feel like you've lost your mind. So to kickstart the series, we will be covering love bombing because it's the first tactic most toxic people use to suck you in and keep you under their control. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm a certified coach. I specialize in abuse recovery from narcissistic, sociopathic, and psychopathic abuse. If you're interested in trauma-informed content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's go. Origins of love bombing. Love bombing became defined around the 1970s because of the Unification Church, which was a cult where members were commonly called Moonies after their founder, but this religious sect used conversation, mind games, friendliness, complimentary language, and false promises to bring in its members and then to keep them. So if you grew up in a dysfunctional family system or have experienced a toxic relationship, the family or relationship can feel cult-like with its isolation, control, and mentality. What is love bombing? Love bombing is an emotional and psychological abuse tactic that is hidden within over-the-top compliments, praising you, always agreeing with you, gift-giving, false promises, over-communicating their feelings, especially very early in the relationship, excessive dreamlike talk about the future, and very intense emotions. It's often used by individuals with personality disorders or narcissistic tendencies with the toxic cycle of love bombing, devalue, and discard, where the target is love bombed, built up to feel important, loved, cared about, and is now isolated from other people that were in their life before the toxic person, then devalued. The toxic person strips away their compliments, tells the target they're worthless, lowers their target's self-esteem and self-worth, and then discard, where the toxic person ignores, gives the silent treatment, or even breaks up with the target. Once this vicious cycle has completed itself, the love bombing often happens again, and the cycle will continue over and over until the target leaves or the toxic person finds a new target. This happens easily because the toxic person has effectively isolated their target, and the isolation is often suffocating, so when some love bombing happens for the cycle to continue, the target receives huge dopamine hits and goes right back. Love bombing is like a drug. And during the discard phase, it can feel like a withdrawal phase, like you were on substances. The differences between love bombing. Family members. If you grew up with toxic family members, it will be harder to spot love bombing due to only knowing love bombing as your normal, which can lead to toxic partners and friends down the road. It's so much different when a family decides to love bomb their child instead of a partner. And here's why. You don't have a choice. In a toxic relationship or partnership, they have to suck you in. When you were raised with this, you didn't have a choice. You are in this family and there is nothing you can do about it. Most of these toxic parents force their children to have an emotional dependency. Okay, they're seeking constant approval from the parent, no matter what the parent is doing to them. Looking for that excessive affection, that love bombing, that feeling of, remember that one time that the parent did one thing for their child that they should have done regardless. But they did it just because that was an actual love bomb. Taking you to the zoo, taking you to whatever, letting you watch your TV show you like for 30 minutes, anything, getting you the gift that you wanted for Christmas. That would be considered a love bomb when there is the devalue, the discard cycle involved. And with family systems, there is going to be more discard, devalue, 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 discard, love bomb. There are less love bombs in family systems due to the fact that you're living together. You have no choice in the matter. And your brain is trying to program itself to know that, hey, I need to feel guilty because my parent did XYZ for me one time, and now these bad things that are happening to me, they shouldn't exist. They shouldn't matter because I remember that one time that they did something for me. And this is exactly what the toxic narcissistic parent wants you to think. They want you to believe that this is the only thing that you deserve. You deserve to be mistreated because you are bad, because you are a scapegoat, because you are not the good child. I want you to remember that this is your position, child, and you will feel guilty if you step outside of this family dynamic. And then you're just confused because you're trying to figure out, how am I so connected to this person when I can't stand them? How do I have such this conflicting, confusing, dysfunctional relationship with this person who just happens to be my parent or parents or even sibling? You love them, you hate them, you can't stand them, you're confused. Or maybe you never even loved them and you're just like, I'm supposed to love them and I feel bad because I can't. The difference between love bombing. Partners. When you're beginning a relationship, it's normal to have a rush. Everything is new. You're excited to try to get into a relationship and get to know this person. But this is where the tricky part is. What's the difference between normal new feeling of a relationship and love bombing? Often love bombing can go undetected in the beginning of a relationship, but noticing their behavior around other people is a big clue of how that person can be. How are they treating the waiter, the cashier, or just a random person on the street? Are they rude, judgmental, or are they a bully? Do you feel a deep feeling of confusion because that person you're on a date with is amazing with you, but treats others they deem unworthy like trash, and on the other hand, they can be flashy or show off when they're trying to impress you and people that they deem important? An example of this is if the person you're dating is sending you gifts at work or in public, unnecessarily showing off the just because gifts to suck you in and show others that may be important to you, that will help paint that individual in a good light so that when you're sucked in, they can really trap you because they came off as such a good person in the beginning. So most likely people in your life before can just determine that you just simply fizzled out of the friendship once you had a relationship because you were busy and there were no hard feelings. So they're not there to check on you. They're not there to support you because they thought, oh, this is normal. This is just something that sometimes happens. This doesn't mean that it's love bombing if your partner sends you a gift at work or even proposes to you in public. It's all about how early, how intense, and how random it is. There should be a pattern of the person who is very generous to also extend generosity to you in private settings. So if they're not able to give you anything in private, but everything in public, that is a big red flag that you need to watch out for. A just because gift a few weeks to a month into a relationship is not typical. Holidays and birthdays could be an exception, but it all depends on the situation. We also have to remember that love bombing isn't just about gifts and grandiosity. It's also about how their love is communicated to you. Love bombers will be intense. I love yous will be said very quickly, and you will feel rushed into a relationship before you can establish genuine feelings instead of lust. If you were bullied or grew up in a toxic home, you might have this feeling that the relationship is great, that someone finally wants to be with me. I should go with it because low self-esteem and a deep need for connection overpowered some of our thought processes, even if we felt something was off and the love bomber could see that and they took advantage of it. One good way to test if someone is genuine with how they feel is to reply with your genuine feelings. Say something like, I do like you, but I want to get to know you more before we get to that point in our relationship. Their reaction will tell you everything that you need to know. Introducing you to important people and wanting to move in together quickly. Jumping headfirst into the relationship is what a love bomber wants you to do. They may even introduce you to their parents or other important people in their life, like their kids, after a date or two. That leap can make you feel like you're special or that person is super serious and wants to commit. But it's a red flag to look out for so you can protect yourself. This move could also show desperation and be a sign that this was a manipulation tactic to make you feel like you're special or that you're the perfect person that they knew was perfect to bring home to the parents. It's an action that does make you feel secure, happy, and cared for, but it's inappropriate until you've been in the relationship for at least several months. It's better off if it's longer. 2 less talked about signs of love bombing. When love bombing is happening in a relationship, there are a few things that go unnoticed that are often deeply discussed. 1. One of the most detrimental signs of love bombing is sleep deprivation. As we discussed earlier, love bombing can make you have chemical changes in the brain that are similar to substance use and then a withdrawal period depending on where you are in the love bombing cycle. However, when you are in the early stage of the admiration, loving phase, sleep deprivation is very common. The love bombing can lead to a decreased need for sleep due to wanting to always talk, feel needed or loved by the love bomber, and the excitement can make you feel like you have to stay awake so you can continue to get this feeling. It's like this giant high, you were on cloud nine. It's normal to feel excitement about a relationship, but it's never healthy to throw away sleep, try to make yourself stay up, or change everything about your schedule just for one person. 2. Throwing away your interest. Though it might not be realized until you're deep in the relationship, love bombers have charm, and that charm can lead you to abandon your interest in even everything about yourself. You might start to question who you are. Where are your passions? Why can't you be like how you were before this relationship started? Other people will notice this if you are still in communication with the people outside of the relationship. But as we know, isolation and ostracization is very common in toxic relationships. I hope that this video has helped explain love bombing to you. What were your experiences with love bombing? What was the first sign that you noticed? Let's talk about that in the comment section down below. I will see you next time. Stay safe.